Good evening. President Obama has been riding high in public opinion polls and with the Congress. But today he suffered a resounding defeat in the Senate on the issue of the Guantanamo Bay, Cuba prison. President Obama has said consistently he wants to shut it down by next January, and he asked Congress for the money to do so. The Senate today voted to deny him that money, and it also blocked him from transferring any of the Guantanamo terror suspects to prisons on U.S. soil. So we turn to Jake Tapper again at the White House. Jake, good evening.
Good evening, Charlie. Well, it was a harsh rebuke, a 90-6 vote against President Obama's request for $80 million to shut down the detainee facility. The clear message: you cannot shut this facility until you have a clear plan for what you're going to do with the detainees.
The language from Democratic leader Harry Reid was even harsher than the lopsided vote.
Democrats under no circumstances will move forward without a comprehensive, responsible plan from the president.
Nearly 540 detainees at Guantanamo Bay were transferred or released to foreign countries under President Bush. 240 detainees remain, including those no other country has been willing to accept, ones the U.S. will eventually prosecute, and those judged too dangerous to release, but the evidence against them would likely not withstand any trial. President Obama is debating what to do with all of them. An especially complicated dilemma, with Democrats and Republicans promising a fight to keep the detainees not only out of the U.S., but even out of U.S. prisons.
Would you be all right with them being transferred to an American prison?
Not in the United States.
Several convicted terrorists are currently in U.S. Supermax facilities, including shoe bomber Richard Reid, alongside serial killers and drug kingpins.
There is ample evidence that the United States can, and in fact does, hold dangerous convicts securely and without incident.
But even FBI Director Robert Mueller today said putting these detainees in U.S. prisons could be dangerous.
There is a potential for radicalization in a number of ways, whether it be for gang activity, for terrorist groups, for other extremists.
President Obama is considering sending roughly 100 detainees to the Saudi Terrorist Rehabilitation Center. But at least 11 detainees sent there by the Bush administration have returned to terrorism, including al-Qaeda leaders in Yemen and Afghanistan.
In my view, these men are exactly where they belong, locked up in safe and secure prison.
ABC News has learned that an internal Pentagon report indicates that 14% of the detainees released under President Bush, that's 74 out of 540, returned to terrorism. Now, President Obama, hoping to quell this outrage, will give a major address tomorrow on counterterrorism policy. Charlie.
All right, Jake Tapper at the White House, thanks to you. And we're going to turn to our chief Washington correspondent, George Stephanopoulos, who joins us now. George, did the White House get blindsided by this virtually unanimous opposition to closing Guantanamo?
Well, Charlie, the warning signs were out there. The Senate Republican leader, Mitch McConnell, has been out on the Senate floor just about every day talking about this. Last week, House Democrats stripped the funding from their spending bill, and there was some rumbling in the Senate as well. But the White House thought as late as last week they could cobble this together. As one Senate Democrat told me today, this is one of the rare instances where they just drove right in front of the headlights.
But George, what's the problem here? We have, as Jake mentioned and Senator Feinstein said on the Senate floor, we have terrorists in U.S. prisons, so why not the guys from Guantanamo?
Well, Charlie, I think this is one of the ultimate NIMBY issues. That you're right on that point. On the other hand, the senators have not yet seen a plan, and you've got the FBI director out there saying he's not sure it's going to be safe either. Senate sources I've talked to today in the administration believe there is a chance they're going to be able to get the Senate to agree to having some detainees come into prisons later this year once the plan by the president is released. But there is no way they're going to approve release of any prisoners in the United States.
And when you say it's a NIMBY problem, you mean not in my backyard.
Absolutely.
No member
right.
of Congress wants these guys transferred to prisons in their districts.
That's right.
All right. George Stephanopoulos in Washington, thanks to you.